The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
At you all the way live. Welcome to Melanated Politics.
From PG County, Maryland, the DMV, it's your boy David Harper.
And from the east side of Compton, California, I am Eric Clark. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to bringing you local and national politics that affects the black community on the big picture. We have so many issues we are going to discuss with you today. Number one, we are going to discuss that there has been a bill that will be passed to keep the United States government open. Also, an executive order will be signed by Donald John Trump to keep this medieval border wall going that he made a promise to his constituents. Okay, and he's requesting $8 billion for that. Also, will a black woman be the next president of the United States of America? That will be a topic we will be discussing today on Melanated Politics. Go ahead and call in at 323-293-3375. And last but not least, we will be discussing not only the Donald Trump's State of the Union address. We won't go too far, but we'll go ahead and touch on that briefly just to let our viewers understand the big picture and the narrative that they continue to peddle out there that is completely counterproductive with respect to the progress of the American people as a whole. But first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, David Harper, is from Virginia. So we will get off let's start off getting off into the politics of Virginia.
The politics of Virginia. Okay, first and foremost, how was your week?
My week was excellent.
My week was excellent, too. Today is my son's birthday. Happy birthday, Solomon. Love you. Daddy,
Happy birthday, Solomon.
Yes, Solomon Noble Harper. Today he's 8 years old. Now, on to Virginia. Yes, I was born in Fairfax, Virginia, several decades ago. Not going to get into how many decades, but several years ago. What's going on in Virginia is two things. We have a #MeToo situation, and we also have racism and white supremacy at the height happening at the same time. Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax is being accused of not only rape, but sexual assault. He is accused of rape by Meredith Watson, who is 39 years old. She said that Justin Fairfax raped her back in 2000 when they were students at Duke. Just a year before, she claims that she was raped by NBA player Cory.
Okay.
And so she came out with this statement after his first accuser of sexual assault, Vanessa Tyson, who is a professor. She claims her allegations are that Justin Fairfax forced oral sex on her in 2004 in Boston, in Massachusetts, during the 2004 Democratic Convention. Now, listen. This is very important. Sexual assault, rape is very, very important. But as a community, we do have to understand the timing of everything does seem convenient. So it's not to say it's not true, but we also know that if he is elected the next governor after the racism of Northam, it becomes an issue. So as a people, it's so important that we able to see that, hey, there is a sexual assault allegation, but there is racism and American white supremacy working at the same time, and we have to learn how to do that. Sometimes we drop the ball. We dropped the ball during the film Birth of a Nation, which we won't get into. They didn't get the support, which is understandable, but that was, again, a situation where we dropped the ball. We can't drop the ball on this, and I'm happy to say, last but not least, that they're going to do an investigation on these accusations, as they should. They should do an investigation to uncover what's really happened, how it really happened, and if he actually did it, he shouldn't be lieutenant governor or governor. But at the same time, also you can't let white supremacy win. And if Governor Northam ends up being the governor, even when he's in blackface, or the attorney general ends up being the governor, Mark Herron becomes the next governor after being in blackface, then we're succeeding with the hashtag Me Too, but we're failing at the fighting against white supremacy.
Well, let's get this out of the way. The governor of Virginia is a snake in the grass.
Yes, he's a snake.
This man, there were photos. Most of us know it by now, but to those that do not, this snake in the grass, Ralph Northam of Virginia. I don't know if it's the Commonwealth of Virginia or the Commonwealth of Blackface, but this character. Now he wants to. I called some black churches. I spoke with some black leaders. This man had a press conference and admitted, that he was in the yearbook photo in med school. There was a med school yearbook that obviously came about, that surfaced, that was already there. It surfaced. It showed pictures of this snake in the grass, the governor of Virginia. And it actually showed this guy, one person was in a Ku Klux Klan outfit, the other was in blackface.
Blackface. Mother was in blackface.
Okay. So then the next day, he had a press conference. And in his press conference, first of all, let me just say this. When the first press conference he held, the governor of Virginia was shaking like R. Kelly at a private school prom. And then the next day, listen to what he said. He said he came out with a new dance called the Blackface Moonwalk. He dressed up like Michael Jackson and started doing the moonwalk. If you don't knock it off.
You know, his wife stopped him from doing that. He was about to do that. She said, no, that wouldn't be appropriate.
I realized that. That man gave a Paul Robeson type of performance. And he appears to be remorseful. But at the same time, like we always say on Melanated Politics, do not spit in my face and tell me it's raining. We are very offended by the pictures that he had in that yearbook. We're also offended by the AG in that yearbook. We don't know what the situation will be in the Virginia politics, a state that you grew up in, as well as your family.
Yes.
But it's out of control. The state of Virginia politics on the highest level is out of control because of the governor, the attorney general, as well as the lieutenant governor, as we started out with those allegations. Once again, black people need to be reminded of a saying called never again. Never again is just I have many Jewish friends that are clients of mine with respect to my fitness training that I've been doing for about 20 years. And they teach their kids never again. That's why when we see pictures of the Ku Klux Klan, that pretty much took it as a sport to kill people that look like me, if you look like me and you're watching. So if you are associated with the Ku Klux Klan, we never let that off the hook, as well as blackface, and we went off into blackface, and that's for a later discussion. But back to the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan will always be called out if you are associated with them. We do not take that lightly. We do not accept your apology, you snake in the grass, Ralph Northam. We don't accept your apology. And one of the things we would like to do is just remind the viewers of Melanated Politics what the Klan is really all about, the essence of the Ku Klux Klan, the intent of the Ku Klux Klan, the background of the Ku Klux Klan, and how it has negatively affected the black community. Never forget, black people have always fought back. But we always will remind everyone that the Ku Klux Klan is something that we are opposed to, that specific organization. We've never been scared of the Klan. They're here in America. They've always been in America. This man had a picture of himself as, are you serious?
Yeah.
Seriously? So what we need to do right now is show our viewers, just in case you forgot, what the Klan is all about. Okay? Play the clip.
Republican Reconstruction. By spring of 1868, the Klan had spread from Tennessee to every southern state. They embarked on a campaign of terror, a war of clandestine attacks. The purpose? To intimidate newly freed blacks and keep them from the voting booths.
The Reconstruction Klansman saw himself as the only vehicle to restore the Southern way of life and social order that had been disrupted by the Civil War. How do we put these outsiders in their place, these uppity blacks, through terror?
The first tactic was usually a warning, a threatening message left on the door of a target. When intimidation failed, the Klan resorted to violent acts. The most common abuse was flogging. Under the cover of night, victims were tied and whipped with tree branches. Some blacks incurred hundreds of lashings. Many died as a result.
The spectacle of these hooded night riders with these horrific-looking costumes was enough to terrorize people. And then they took people out, they tied them to trees, they beat them, they flogged them, they lynched them, they burned them out. Almost anything they were capable of doing, and they did it.
And that's why we can never forget. We have to be reminded. We have to be reminded because we are, in a lot of ways, some ways, Eric mentioned this before a couple weeks ago, we're too forgiving. And we don't exert our power as a community, our strength as a community, our passion as a community, saying that we're not going to take this and we're going to just end it. We're going to, if we're going to shut it down, we're not going to accept it. And that's why, again, and not saying that the situation with Justin Fairfax isn't important with the rape allegations, but understand why they're coming up now and why it didn't happen before. Why they're coming up now and why it didn't happen before, because a black man being president or a black woman being governor in that case is not going to work. And the thing is that we as a community have to recognize that. Sometimes we have to fight on two fronts, but that white supremacist front, that racism front, the history of American front cannot be silenced. We can't drop the ball on this, because if we drop the ball, we're done. We've already been dropping it, unfortunately, on a few occasions, more than a few occasions. But in this case in particular, it's right in front of us.
But that's why this video was so important regarding the governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam. Governor Northam, I wish you can see this video. This is not a game. If you want to play governor, take your grandchildren to the park. Okay? Play some cards. Do what we do where from. Slap some dominoes. Okay? But this is not a game. It was very important for us to show that video because we will never forget. And with respect to the Ku Klux Klan or being associated with the Ku Klux Klan, we will never forgive. It's in our bone structure. It's in our DNA. We will never forgive the Ku Klux Klan. So if this governor wants to flip-flop like a fish out of water regarding that picture in the med school yearbook, along with that doctor. Also, it was another doctor. It was one of his buddies.
One of his buddies, yes.
One of his buddies.
Yes, yes.
It's just, like I say, the Commonwealth of Blackface or the Commonwealth of Virginia. Let's see what happens. Let's see what plays out regarding the politics in Virginia. And
if I could add a few things real quick, what you're seeing is with the Governor Northam and with the not the lieutenant governor, but the attorney general, you're seeing those particular politicians, those white men, trying to hold out because they've seen Trump hold out.
Yes.
And they're seeing the acceptability of that type of racism in the sense of let the heat die down a little bit. Just wait it out. Let's ride out the storm. You're seeing it. We're watching it. And where we have to be as a community is like, nah, the storm is not going to calm down. The storm is going to get worse because we're not going to take it. And until we get that in our bones, until we get that in our soul, it's going to continue to happen. And it's so fascinating because Ralph Northam's staff played him Birth of a Nation. They played him Birth of a Nation.
Wow.
So he can watch. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the movie Birth of a Nation, it was about Nat Turner, who basically did the slave revolt in Virginia. The insurrection. There's a book called Insurrection Nat Turner. I implore everybody to read it.
Nat Turner was an American hero.
Yes. And with that said, you're seeing everything spill out in Virginia again. But Virginia is the first Southern state, I guess you can say, to deal with its history in a particular way.
With Jamestown, Virginia, Jamestown, Virginia, the year of our Lord, 1619. They say the first slaves came to Jamestown, Virginia, but in all actuality, as I stated on the show prior to today, thank you so much for tuning in. It was actually 1555, but they hid that period because that was a particular period where you had to pretty much breed people like animals, like horses. You had to take people's soul and spirit away and have them infatuated with this forgiving Christianity. Now, before we move on from the state of Virginia and the politics of the state of Virginia, people might say, okay, Eric Clark, you're too harsh. You don't forgive. I'll tell you what, walk out your home right now and do something you're not supposed to do and see if the system forgives you. Call in. We need to hear what everyone is talking about. Also, as we said, leading up to this particular topic, something that is very dear to us, obviously, is our passion for politics, the immorality of the Trump administration, and who's running against this man in 2020. And since melanin is the essence of color and politics is war without bloodshed, let's break it down to you like an improper fraction with respect to who may run against this man, who are black folk. Cory Booker, former mayor of New Jersey, also current senator of New Jersey, also Kamala Harris, former prosecutor of the state of California. Of San Francisco, as well as Attorney General of California. Mm-hmm. And also, we're going to break down these individuals because they're running. They're very intelligent individuals. We've been following Kamala Harris. We've been following Cory Booker. And they're just fantastic. They're very unique in their own ways. They're they're qualified as far as I'm concerned. They look out for their constituents. They have fantastic messages. They have the type of policies that a normal, average American that follows politics and understands that policies affect our everyday lives will support either of these individuals. But first, Cory Booker. He has a megawatt smile. He ran in a building and saved people. He has great speeches. Cory Booker, he just seems like just a great guy. However, when this man was the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, and there was an uptake in police brutality with melanated pigmentation individuals, did he do enough? I say no. What do you say? I say no, and for that reason alone, Cory Booker, although I love the way you address different Trump administration officials at these different senatorial hearings, you are outstanding. You're a great speaker. Are you qualified to be the next president of the United States? Yes. Will you be? No, because you did not do enough when you were the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. That's just me. What do you think, my brother?
When it comes to both Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, I'm conflicted on both. There's pluses and minuses. There's a lot of pluses and a whole lot of minuses with both. With Cory Booker in particular, actually, before we get to Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Because this is right what I battle with as a black man, with a black son, with a black family, with my beautiful wife. These are the things that I battle.
Go ahead.
Can there be a candidate for president that can go out and say, I am going to truly help the black community by X, Y, and Z, bop, bop, bop. And And with that said,
no.
Okay, no. Okay, no. I agree. We're on the same page. So if there's no, if a candidate can't do that, what's the next best thing?
I mean, I could have dodged answers like Whitaker, but I refuse to do that. No, they cannot.
So what's the next best thing? What's the next best thing for black people?
Okay, first of all, Kamala Harris. That's the reason why this particular segment is called "Will a Black Woman Be the Next President of the Good Old United States of America?" Kamala Harris, she has an opportunity. She has a track record. She's a current senator of the United States of America, David.
Yes, she is.
She's made some of the best speeches I've ever heard intellectually and also from a policy perspective. So, hey, she's fantastic. Now, I have major issues with Senator Kamala Harris, okay? Major issues. She dodges a lot of questions. She's not very straightforward when I see her in interviews, when I saw her on different interviews, whether it be the Breakfast Club or et cetera. She was not not forthcoming with a lot of her answers. I had an issue with that, okay? Also, let's cut to the chase. Kamala Harris is for the death penalty in the state of California. To me, you are automatically disqualified. Also, when you look at her record in the state of California, because the prison populated has been so overcrowded throughout recent years, they wanted to give out 2-for-1 credits for minimal offenders with nonviolent records, i.e. fire camp, i.e. lower level facilities. Check this out. Kamala Harris is her staff. They had written documentation. They were basically against that. Okay, they were against that because if you were to release the fire camp workers, who's going to put out the fires, especially considering that at that time it was fire season. So Kamala Harris, look it up yourself. 2-for-1 credits, fire camp workers, letting black men, people of color, even white guys are incarcerated because it's white guys in jail too. But most guys that are in jail in the state of California, most states, are black, and we know the reason why. Okay, because we all do crimes at the highest percentage of race, drugs, etc. So she's automatically qualified. She had great smile, extremely intelligent.
Absolutely.
Knows her issues.
Absolutely.
She's from Oakland, California. I'm a California guy. HBU. She went to Howard University.
She's AKA.
So let's give her a round of applause for that, and let's stop after that because she is with the death penalty in the state of California.
Let me just say this to our audience and to just America in general. I don't care, and nor should anybody care if she's married to a white man. I don't care, nor should anybody care. And if you do care that she slept with Willie Brown or whoever.
I didn't know you were going there.
No, I'm going there because that really doesn't matter. What matters is what you talked about. No, real quick. What matters is what you talked about, her record.
Okay.
Real quick, her record. So if her record is not really for helping the black community, that is the bigger thing. That's the bigger thing. That's why I have my issues.
We're not talking about her what she's saying. We're talking about her actions.
I'm talking that, and that's exactly
she
what I'm
has a record.
So and you know what? So her answer on particularly when she was on the Breakfast Club, when her answer was, "Hey, I wish I could do more. People are going to attack my record, but I can stand on my record," but not getting specifics of what she could do or what she did wrong. If you are a prosecutor locking up black men, don't get me wrong. We know that black on black crime is real. We know there are men who should be in jail, but we know there's a large proportion of black men who are over prosecuted. There's a big proportion of black men who should not be on the death penalty.
Okay.
So with that said, you have to talk about it. And if she doesn't talk about it, there's a problem.
And also, Kamala Harris, you are truly invited to come on Melanated Politics anytime you choose to. This is an open invitation. Senator Kamala Harris, please. It's an open invitation to come on Melanated Politics. We will give you an opportunity to go ahead and talk about your record and why the fact that you should be the next president of the United States of America.
Really make the case, but we're not the Breakfast Club. We're not going to give you. We're going to get detailed. We're going to ask detailed questions. You know what I mean? Because the community needs detailed questions as well. That goes for Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar,
and also
everybody.
We're not going to let you throw in this whole America when it comes to, because people always pose the questions. What will you do do you have a black agenda? If you are elected the next president of the United States, what will you do for black folk? And it's always, well, I'll do A, B, and C because it's good for America. That's not the question. The question never, will you do everything for the entire America? The question often arises, what is your plans and what will you do for the black the community? So, Kamala Harris, good luck in your journey to be the next president of the United States. I do believe she's qualified. But, But because of her record, I believe that that's something that will be a stain, and that's something that will tarnish her, and that's something that a certain percentage of the voter bloc, especially with respect to the California voting bloc, I think that will be a negative issue that will come back to haunt her, along with Cory Booker.
Yes.
His record.
Yep.
However, there is one black woman. There's one particular individual that we hold in very, very high regard on melanated politics. Her name is Stacey Abrams, as you all well know, who ran to be the governor of the state of Georgia.
Yes.
Barely lost. It was a runoff.
Yeah, there was a lot of votes that weren't counted. There was a lot of votes that weren't counted in Georgia. There was a lot of games being played in Georgia as well as other states like North Carolina. And we can go on and on. We talked about voter suppression in the games that Republicans play when it comes to the votes, when it comes to the black community, because they don't want that power to be there. But Stacey Abrams, nevertheless, to me personally, I would love to vote for her. She doesn't have the same track record as many of these candidates that are running. And maybe that's what makes her appealing. She's very sincere on what she wants to do for the black community. But also, even though the one thing that Stacey Abrams does very well is addressing she's addressed the whole state of Georgia, but she also expressed what's needed for the black community in a way that I don't think a lot of candidates express.
I can't close my eyes right now, but it's hard for me to not close my eyes when I speak about Stacey Abrams. It's hard for me to not close my eyes. Mm-hmm. Her intellectual capacity is impeccable. Okay, she attracts not only African American or black voters, she attracts female voters, male voters, voters that are seniors, voters that are of college age.
Yes.
Caucasians, African Americans, Native Americans. Stacey Abrams is that woman. Don't get it twisted. I feel, honestly, as someone that's a political junkie, that loves politics, I believe that the African American community in the United States of America, black folk in America, our only opportunity for our next president of the United States is not Cory Booker. Good luck. It's not Kamala Harris. Good luck, my sister. Okay? No offense by anything I said. I respect you. However, Stacey Abrams is the only chance that the African American community has with respect to African American representation on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So go ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Follow Stacey Abrams. Check her out. Do your research. Watch her videos. Listen to her when she was on the radio. Feel her passion. Understand the issues that she is promoting. Understand that she is fighting. Understand that she has heart.
Absolutely.
So we support Stacey Abrams, and we believe on melanated politics that although there are other black candidates that are truly qualified to be the next president of the United States, and obviously you heard personal issues why we feel or do not feel that they may or may not be the next president. However, Stacey Abrams, what do you think about Stacey Abrams?
I mean, I love Stacey Abrams, and again, and let me make something clear. If Cory Booker or Kamala Harris ends up being the Democratic nominee, I will vote for them 100% over Donald Trump. I want to make that clear. I will vote for Kamala Harris or Cory Booker 100 twice on Saturday, 5 times on Sunday, 100 times during the week over Donald Trump. I don't want anybody to think like there's an equivalent to Kamala Harris and Donald Trump saying both of them are bad. No. We're not saying that here. What we're talking about is what is, to us, what's best for the black community. Stacey Abrams is amazing to both of us. We're both very fond of her because we see an authenticity to the black community that hasn't been shown before. And the fight that she has for her community in a sense of, it almost feels like she can talk about the black community without offending people. And I think that's very rare to do. And what I'm trying to say is that there are candidates, there are people that can talk about the black community and talk about it in an educated way, and not necessarily in a personal way.
One of the reasons why black folk have a problem with black politicians because they always make sure they don't offend people that don't look like us while they claim to keep it real.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. Sometimes when you tell the truth, people's feelings get hurt.
Yes.
Unfortunately, a lot of us have people that passed away from cancer. When they tell you you have cancer, they don't say, well, how have your kids been doing in school? What do you think about the weather?
No.
What's your favorite? No, look, man, you have cancer. This is what you need to do, A, B, or C, or D. It's all straightforward. So that's one of the issues that needs to be on the forefront, and that needs to be the foundation, and that's something that needs to be pointed out. And we will continue to point that out. Going back to, I refer to Maxine Waters as Harriet Tubman. I also refer to Stacey Abrams as being a modern-day Harriet Tubman type of political figure, especially considering that she is in the state of Georgia. She has so much support. There's so many people that follow her. You recall she actually gave a response to the State of the Union address, and we'll go off into that in a minute.
Right.
But Stacey Abrams, for all of our viewers that don't know, even though she's internationally known as being an intellect and just a great political figure out there, we would love our viewers is just to get a snapshot, just a small snapshot of Stacey Abrams. As a matter of fact, when she was tied, you recall when she ran for governor.
Yeah, when she ran
when
for
she was
governor.
actually tied with that, I don't even want to say his name,
No,
with the individual she was tied with. He's
Yes.
not even worthy of his name being said on Melanated Politics. Anyway, so just to get our audience a quick snapshot of Stacey Abrams, we have a small sample, and we want you to see what we're talking about. See Stacey Abrams for yourself. Let's go.
Welcome aboard. But I want to say this. If I wasn't your first choice, or if you made no choice at all, you're going to have a chance to do a do-over. And I need you to know that it is my mission to serve you, to serve Georgia, to make you proud. And for those who didn't pick me the first time, to change your mind about me and what we can accomplish together. You see, I learned a long time we don't need to agree on everything. But I will always respect you, and I will do everything I can to keep you safe and help you live your best lives. Because that's what leadership requires at this moment. And it is how we breathe life back into our republic when it seems to be shallow of breath. And to everyone who has already poured your precious time and energy and hard-earned dollars and your love into this campaign, I say thank you. And I urge you to stay with us. Because Georgia...
Ladies and gentlemen, now you see why we support Stacey Abrams, because seeing is believing.
And, you know, that video, you see the authenticity, you see the honesty. I don't feel like I was looking at a politician right there. I'm not saying that she can part the sea and walk on water, but what I can say is that she is truly, truly, truly for our community in a way that I don't think we've seen in other politicians the same way. And the one other thing I wanted to say, going back to real quick, the whole critiquing Kamala Harris, and there's been a lot of talk about sexism, which is real. Sexism, women do have unfortunately a double standard, but at the same time, critiques, honest, thoughtful critiques of any candidate, whether they're a woman, black woman, white woman, whatever, from a man does not make us sexist. And when there's a person, I have to say, Simone Sanders of CNN said that she wanted the silence. Black men should be quiet when Uncle Luke of the Two Live Crew, Luther Campbell.
I knew you.
I had to go there.
We talked about this off camera.
We did.
Right?
I have to get this off camera. I have to get this off my chest a little bit.
I did not know you was going there. I didn't know you was going there.
I have to talk about this because she sent a tweet. She sent a tweet saying that she's tired of hearing black men saying certain things. It's like, nah, you can't be tired of hearing black men. You can't be tired. Just like I'm not tired of seeing a black woman succeed. But if we're going to talk about critiquing, we have to be authentic, real, and honest. And it's not because of anything outside of the facts. And that's where we're going to. But Simone Sanders did apologize. She said maybe we didn't hear her right. She said,
hold
of course,
up. Do you accept her? Obviously, I feel your passion, brother. I feel your passion. Do you accept her? Do you accept Simone's apology?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think she actually apologized. I think what she said was that
Bottom line, this, man. Do you accept Simone's apology?
I don't. This is what I feel. I think there are. I think right now, women need, want, and deserve someone, a voice, a woman to be in the same stature or higher as a man. Because let me finish.
I'm not going to do you like Karen Bass did Jeff Sessions. Yes or no, Murray?
No, but I have to say this. I think, and let me just say this real quick. Coming from a strong black woman, as my mother, the way my mother is, and coming from a strong and having a strong wife and having a strong, may she rest in peace, a strong mother-in-law who passed away. Women, black women in particular, are the strongest human beings on this planet. At the same time, black men should not be silenced for their ascension. And no person should be silenced. That's all I'm going to say.
So, Simone, go ahead and call into Melanated Politics because my good friend David, he forgives you. Go ahead and call in. He forgives you, okay?
What's the next thing we talking about, man?
No, let's talk about today. Today. In the last couple of days, because it's been a short, brief time since you saw David and myself, Eric, on Melanated Politics. Thanks again indeed for tuning in. 323-293-3333. Pardon me, 323-293-3375. Go ahead and call in, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. The government will stay open.
What?
A bill will be signed.
What?
With respect to the government staying open.
Okay.
However, Donald John Trump will sign an executive order for his border wall, which will cost approximately $8 billion. Now, he says he will ascertain the funds from different areas. However, he's sticking to his word that he gave his constituents, his base. Build that wall, build that wall, build that wall. The House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, will not allow him to build that wall, along with other senators who happen to be Republicans, who happen to be Democrats, along with other congressmen, congresswomen who happen to be Democrats, who happen to be Republicans, who happen to be independents. You cannot use an executive order for your so-called fake border wall to keep brown folk out the country. Make America white again.
I don't know if you knew this, but they actually have a song called Build the Wall. Kanye West produced it, and Kid Rock's rapping on it and singing on it.
Kid Rock
from...
No.
Yeah, they have a song. Kanye West produced it.
No, you talking about what?
Yeah.
Confederate flag.
Confederate flag. Kanye West produced the song
now, when he
Build That Wall.
Okay.
And Kid Rock is rapping on it, and he's singing, he's rocking and rapping, he's going back and forth because he said he loved Run DMC, but it is what it is. So yeah, they have a track out, and I believe the video is going to be released on Fox News. At least that's what I heard.
Wow. Well, we know it won't be a lot of dancing when they air it.
I think
because we know what that is. But anyway. there's so much to be said about the bill that will be passed.
Yes.
Because one thing that's not said, it has been mentioned, that one thing that has not been said, that there will be no funding for government workers with respect to back pay. They're not getting any back pay.
That's a
so
problem.
Donald Trump will be judged for not government workers not receiving any back pay with this bill that will be signed to keep the government open. And we'll wait and see what happens regarding his potential $8 billion border wall. And we know what that's about. We won't be a broken record. We won't be repetitive with respect to the reasons and the intent of the so-called medieval border wall and the emergency in MS-13 and the caravan and the cartels and the coyotes. You know, one thing leading up into this State of the Union speech, after I heard the President Donald John Trump talk about these different cartels and MS-13 and all,
13.
I didn't know if I was watching the State of the Union or I don't know if I was watching The Hills Have Eyes. It was that scary.
See, The Hills Have Eyes?
The Hills Have Eyes.
It was that scary? I believe it was scary.
Freddy versus Jason.
That was actually funny. But
Jigsaw.
yeah, no, that was scary. It was a little bit scary. It was bad. It was bad. I think that Donald Trump. Wait, matter of fact, I think did they sign the bill or they're about to sign the bill?
They haven't signed it yet,
Okay.
but it will be unless they signed it since we've been on air.
Right.
But no, they have not signed it. But the government, according to resources that are credible,
right.
The government will remain open. I believe there's between 1.3 and 1.5 billion dollars that will go towards border security.
Right.
Now he will take the credit because it's about the narrative. He will take the credit and say, I made the Democrats give me $1 billion to build that wall. What did Michael Flynn say?
Lock her up.
With his guilty self, build that wall,
Right.
lock her up.
The one thing I can say about this is Democrats, real quick, Democrats held their ground. I'm really proud of them not giving in. And that's what I mean by standing your ground. In a sense, they recognize the racism and the evil in Donald Trump, and they stood their ground as a political party, which doesn't normally happen in that case. They usually bend, and they didn't bend. I have to give it to them. I have to give credit when credit's due.
Well, it was Donald Trump's second State of the Union speech, and it barely even happened.
Right.
Had the government been closed, Nancy Pelosi would not have allowed him to even give that speech. However, the government was open. He was invited to the U.S. House of Representatives, to the chambers, and he gave that Hills Have Eyes speech on brown folk, and it worked out excellent for his constituency. Now, the Republican far right-wing talk radio, they're against this bill.
Of course.
They feel like, okay, check this out. If you don't get the $5.7 billion for the wall that you said Mexico would pay for initially, don't back down, don't cave in. They want him to be, the bully that sometimes the United States has been around the globe. They want Donald Trump to continue to have that manifest destiny type of mentality and attitude with respect regarding the border wall. So that's one of the reasons why we're so passionate about expressing a factual narrative to the viewers of Melanated Politics, because we know they have their own narrative that creates danger, and they're promoting hate. Absolutely. Okay, and they're promoting a boogeyman. There's always been a boogeyman. We will always be the boogeyman. But now they have brown boogeyman. And right now, the southern border that they want $8 billion to go to is supposed to keep those brown boogeymen and those brown children and those brown women and those brown elderly people coming to the United States, whether it is to seek asylum.
Yes.
There's bad people in every community, bad peoples in every crowd, but to create the narrative. One more thing about the, he always has family. Like I said, it's about the narrative. It's not what people tell you, crowd. It's what people don't tell you. That's how you can figure out where they're coming from. Don't listen to what people say. Cover up your ears and look at how they treat you. And that's an observation we continue to make with Donald John Trump, the most unqualified president. I won't say ever. I won't say ever.
In our lifetime, easy.
In our lifetime, easy.
In our lifetime, easy. That goes without saying. In our lifetime, he is
the
most unqualified.
Now, as far as a narrative, for those who didn't have an opportunity to watch the State of the Union address, for those that did not have an opportunity to actually watch President Trump today, discuss a potential executive order to fund his medieval border wall. And also for those that did, as I just stated, for those that didn't, the State of the Union address, it was important. The only reason why we're going to show you a piece of that is because we don't live in 1920. This is not 19. We live in 2019. And if you are not on board with calling out the Trump administration and the racism and their bigotry and their inadequacies and their immoralities, okay, and the fact that they are unethical, then you are complicit with their movement and you will be called out, especially on melanated politics. So we're going to go ahead and show our viewers just a piece. Just a piece. Now, we said some powerful words. We said that he referred to Mexicans like it was Hills Have Eyes and Saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and Jigsaw and Alien versus Predator, Carrie, The Exorcist. Let's go ahead and show a clip, just a small piece of what President Trump said on the State of the Union.
Access to our country. Human traffickers and sex traffickers take advantage of the wide open areas between our ports of entry to smuggle thousands of young girls and women into the United States and to sell them into prostitution and modern-day slavery. Tens of thousands of innocent Americans are killed by lethal drugs that cross our border and flood into our cities, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. The savage gang, MS-13, now operates in at least 20 different American states, and they almost all come through our southern border. Just yesterday, an MS-13 gang member was taken into custody for a fatal shooting on a subway platform in New York City. We are removing these gang members by the thousands, but until we secure our border, they're going to keep streaming right back in. Year after year, countless Americans are murdered.
That's a lie. Those were lies. That was fabricated. Okay? That man is worse than Pinocchio. Okay? If you tell me that there's listen, America, if you tell me there is a crisis at the border, I will tell you that Steve King and Lou Dobbs will open up a taco stand in Mexico City.
What you saw from Donald Trump was his argument to his base, but also to a portion of America that fear melanated people, black and brown. And I had a comment made to me by a coworker, actually a supervisor, a good friend, I consider a good friend, who happens to be white. And he said that sometimes he's embarrassed to be white by what he sees. And you hear Eric and I here on Melanated Politics talk about white supremacy often. We talk about the struggle that black people have been having for generations with this country and how this country has been ran and the way it's continuing to be run and governed. All white people aren't Donald Trump, but there's too many white people that are silent because whether you're talking about Donald Trump talking about the border, he's not talking about immigration. He's talking about not letting people in because of who they are, when he doesn't mind other folks coming in.
Okay, I have a lot of white friends also, but let me tell you this. If you think it's more important to save puppies and kittens than to realize that racism exists, you're complicit, okay? There's so many wonderful Americans out here from all different ethnicities. Let's never get that twisted.
Absolutely.
However, this is melanated politics, okay? And either you accept it, reject it, but at the end you will respect it because the truth hurts, okay? So if we need to get some pain pills out there to people, send an email address in.
Send an email, postcard, whatever you need. Because the truth is, we're at a critical point in our country to where either we're going to stand up to Donald Trump's racism, or Ralph Northam's racism, or a racism that's accepted. Because Ralph Northam is not the only person that did blackface. Trump is not the only person that said they don't want brown people in here, or think that Africa or Haiti or other places are S-hole countries. We have to stand up to all of it. And then the question is, will we stand up to all of it? Or they're going to be a group of people that are going to be in their feelings in the sense of, well, immigration. He's talking about immigration. He's not talking about racism with Latinos. Oh, he's talking about criminals that happen to be black that may have killed somebody. He's not talking about all black people. Or he's whatever excuse that's made.
You know what, man? I don't want to qualify anything. I don't have to say if there's a lot of good cops, but this is the bad ones done. I don't have to say, we don't have to say, it's racism in America, but some white folk are good. I'm pretty sure that goes without saying.
No, but there's some people in our community that believe that there aren't any good white people at all. You know this. There's people in our community that feel like you cannot trust them.
Okay, we're the victims of stereotyping and putting everyone in the same category. Okay, David and I, we've known each other for a while. We worked on a plantation before. We would like to call it a job. A lot of us are, why would you call it a plantation? You get paid. We talking about the psyche of what a plantation represents, where you have Negroes and Negresses, that shuck and jive and put on a top hat and get a cane and deliver the message of lower your voice. Don't stir up anything. We have it real good around here. What you talking about? Running away, starting your own thing. We got it real good around here. Melanated politics.
Did not know you was gonna go there.
If you scared, go to church. If you're nervous, sign up for the service.
Oh man, did not know you was gonna go there. Okay.
We in America.
What I will say is, let me gather my thoughts, man. Ladies and gentlemen, what he said was very, very, very personal. So it's just like, I mean,
last one hired, first one fired.
So as I was saying before about what we're going to do as a community, as I'm trying to keep a straight face, what we're going to do as a community with combating, sticking together. First and foremost, sticking together, sticking together all the way through. And having that follow through, meaning if we see wrong, we say wrong. We see wrong, we call it out. And that wrong is to racism, but that wrong is also to sexual assault and everything else.
Also, what I was going to say about stereotype before you cut me off like
I did.
Dude, you cut me off like an umbilical cord, man.
Man.
Okay. Now let me wrap this up like a burrito. Let me wrap this up like a Christmas present. And I don't celebrate pagan holidays, but let me say this here, man.
Okay, all right.
I have been on an elevator. Pardon me. I have been standing from the elevator, and white folk didn't get on the elevator with me. I didn't have on I didn't have on a do-rag. My pants weren't sagging. Okay, none of the stereotypes. But I knew there was an embedded fear. Remember, behavior is taught and learned. You're not born mean or nice, it's taught to you. You're not born considerate or selfish, it's taught to you. Man or woman up and understand how the brain works. And don't make any excuses. With respect to the political climate in America, the Donald Trump policies, the Trump administration, and the fact that the politics that affect Black America on a national and local level is something that we need to pay attention to. Okay, for people that think politics, I would want to get this off my chest. They didn't put President Obama in the White House because he's light-skinned. Okay, it wasn't rigged. Give black men their credit sometime, once in your life. Do it for the next 30 seconds, 1 minute, then go back to how you was doing it. But for not now, but right now, give a black man some props. This man is intelligent. I'm not going to turn the show into a Barack Obama moment, but what I'm saying is give that man his props.
Absolutely.
The political climate in America is very intrinsic right now. We need to jump on board and we need to understand the narratives that are being presented to us. If you don't know who you're fighting against, you won't know how to fight, even if you know how to fight. So all we have is us. Are we going to stick together? Are we going to continue to allow people that have always kept us separated since 1619, Virginia?
Yes. And
in 1555.
Yes, indeed.
Or will we hold hands as a people and continue to support each other?
That's
where everyone do that? Of course not. This message is not to all. It's not to everyone. Okay. Unless you have the common sense of a head of lettuce, you understand. It's not for everyone. The same black folks that got off them ships is not the people you see walking up and down the street now. You know, materialism, selfishness, being in a society that's more based on the individual person as opposed to the collectivism, which our culture and our heritage calls for, and that's always been our history and all melanated people. We've gone away from that. So I'm calling out to the next generation. Don't hold your head down. Don't be afraid to speak up like you hear me speaking up now. Okay? Be humble when you go get a job. Don't be humble when you tell somebody the truth.
That's profound. That was great. I mean that. I wasn't expecting you to say that. That was profound. People need to hear that. And speaking of giving a brother his credit, shout out to Colin Kaepernick for
Shout out to Colin Kaepernick.
Shout out to Colin Kaepernick.
Shout out, my brother.
Yes, for winning his case, settling his case with the NFL. I shouldn't say winning. But yeah, it's a win because you know what? There was some collusion in there, and the NFL settled out of court. They came to an agreement. Bottom line is that's a great example of, I hate to put it this way, this brother, along with Eric Reed, had to kind of stand alone.
He got a new contract as well. Eric Reed Eric Reed got a contract.
Listen, you cannot, and see,
and he still spoke about Colin.
Still spoke up about Colin. He was the only one in a sea of brothers, to be behind Colin Kaepernick. That's a problem. He's the only one. He should never be the only one. It's like what Eric said. If we don't stick together, man, we don't band together, and we don't look at ourselves as brothers and sisters and respect and with love and say, I got you, then we're not going to get anywhere. And that's a fact. And I understand history has divided us mentally, spiritually. All of us have a PTSD that's been passed down from generation to generation. I get it.
Plantation psychosis.
I get it. But there's too many programs like this one. There's too many people speaking out, talking about what we're talking about. We have to stick together, look at everything. And if it doesn't work for our community, we can't stand by it. That's all I got to say.
There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, Melanated Politics, where our tongue is our gun and our wisdom will always be our ammunition. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Shout out Poetess. Shout out.
Poetess, love you.
Sheena.
Sheena, wait, Sheena, miss you.
Our other producer, Sheena.
Sheena.
Shout out.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we call it melanated politics because melanated is the essence of color and politics is war without bloodshed. Thank you for tuning in one more time for David Harper.
Yes, indeed. And Eric Clark.
Peace.